BlackRock is actually saying here that Bitcoin is a global alternative to money, putting it on the same level as the dollar, the euro, and so on. And they're saying you should have at least 1 to 2% in Bitcoin. If you don't have 1 or 2% in Bitcoin, you've lost control over your life. How crazy is that? We have some intense statements coming straight from Las Vegas, from the biggest Bitcoin conference in the world. The White House is speaking out here, saying, the USA will become the Bitcoin superpower of the world. They're saying this for the second or third time now. We have Bitwise saying, the super cycle is coming. Bitcoin is now going mainstream. How insane is that? We have Adam Back saying, Bitcoin will rise to 10 million US dollars. Hal Finney was right when he said in 2010 or 2009, I don't even remember, that Bitcoin would rise to 10 million US dollars. Events are unfolding rapidly here. We have brand new announcements coming straight from the Las Vegas Bitcoin conference. We're going to take a look at all of this. It's ultra, hyper, mega bullish. But first, leave me a like here so we can make even better content, and so Bitcoin can really take off now. We're really on the verge of a jump to higher Bitcoin prices right now. But for that, I need all your likes so that this really reaches everyone, so that people realize Bitcoin is relevant now. Bitwise says it, we're going mainstream now, the super cycle is coming. But first, we have Adam Back here, who actually says in a new interview, Hal Finney was right. And Hal Finney is someone who is also rumored to be Satoshi Nakamoto. Some people even think Adam Back himself is Satoshi Nakamoto. And Adam Back, well, he says here that Bitcoin will go to 10 million. Hal Finney was right, and this is the crazy part. Back then, Hal Finney already calculated that if Bitcoin were to capture a certain share of the total wealth in the world, then the price of Bitcoin would rise to 10 million US dollars, or rather, not the market capitalization of the world, but the total global wealth. By now, the total global wealth has increased even more. That means the prediction actually needs to be adjusted. It's not 10 million anymore. By now, it should be much, much higher. Lately, we've been hearing super bullish statements here from Adam Back anyway. Feel free to write down in the comments below which beard you like best. Today, I brought out the Hans Werner Shin beard again. But of course, the Super Mario beard shouldn't be overlooked either. And now let's take a look at what BlackRock has to say here at the world's largest Bitcoin conference. I'm not going to play the question now, because the commentator asks him whether they still recommend a 1 to 2% Bitcoin allocation. And now, just watch how he responds to that. It's really incredible.
Recommendation to investors actually allocating 1 to 2%.
Yeah, so just I think to set the stage for what model portfolios are and how they work for some in the audience. Basically, the idea is to support financial advisors in their journey to be able to build better portfolios, more optimized portfolios for their end clients.
So, for now, he's dodging the question a bit and isn't answering it directly yet. The answer will come later. He says here, it's also important to understand, especially as he answers this, that with the model portfolios, because BlackRock has model portfolios, the idea is to make it easier for asset managers to manage their portfolios. There are different model portfolios, and these portfolios, I keep stumbling over my words, these model portfolios always include a certain proportion of Bitcoin allocation. And that's where the 1 to 2% Bitcoin allocation comes from, which he'll talk about more later. And as an asset manager, instead of buying 10 individual ETFs, you can just buy one of these model portfolios where different BlackRock ETFs are combined, and you end up with a pretty good mix. Now let's see what else he has to say about the 1 or 2% allocation.
And one of those portfolios, as you note, in February of this year, so just about 3 months ago now, added Bitcoin as an allocation in the 1 to 2% range. And this was a model portfolio that includes alternatives in it. And so that was, as you note, I think a significant development. That was not a sudden reaction to any one thing. That was a result of multiple years of analysis and research by that team who runs those portfolios. So it's been an exciting milestone.
I mean, you really have to take that in. They're saying here that the 1% allocation didn't just happen randomly, but that it comes after years of research, probably even subscribing to this YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button below. And they've just been watching Bitcoin, and that's how they arrived at the 1 to 2% allocation. I mean, you could definitely go a lot heavier than that. And since then, they've been recommending a 1 to 2% Bitcoin allocation to their clients. Since then, they've also been saying, okay, we'll include a 1 to 2% Bitcoin allocation in the model portfolios. And just imagine if the whole world did that, then the price of Bitcoin would be in the millions if everyone had a 1 to 2% Bitcoin allocation. That would be absolutely insane.
Larry talked about at various points, and that is this view of Bitcoin as an emerging global monetary alternative that is attractive in potentially a lot of states of the world.
And that's actually an even more powerful statement here. Robert Mitzchik, the head of digital assets at BlackRock, says here, Bitcoin is an emerging monetary alternative. Let's stick to German. Otherwise, people will start complaining about my Denglish again. So, an emerging monetary alternative. And then it's basically on par with or similar to the euro or the dollar. Gold is also money and has been for thousands, hundreds of years. He also says that Larry Fink always says this, and if it really is a monetary alternative, then the potential is much, much higher. From that statement alone, we can already infer that Bitcoin would have to rise into the millions. So now we have all the big players, all of them are in the game. And now we're moving from one big player to the next big player. We'll get to the White House later. But first, let's quickly take a look at what Bitwise has to say, because they're just straight up declaring the supercycle here. That's pretty intense.
I've never been more optimistic about this space. I mean, everything that you could hope for, and YouTube have been in the space for a long time, Bitwise has been in the space for 7 years. So many things are going right. Now, the world does not happen in days and weeks. Some things take months, some things take quarters. But if there's one high-level thing I could say to everyone here, we're all part of a community. My gosh, it's happening. And Bitcoin is becoming a mainstream asset. And I think you're going to see it everywhere. So I think higher. You heard it here first.
It's really happening. You can't suppress it anymore. You can't laugh it off anymore. You can't ignore it anymore. Bitcoin is going mainstream, and that means we're going to see a kind of supercycle here as well. I mean, if Bitcoin goes mainstream, that would mean, yeah, that everyone is talking about Bitcoin, that retail investors are coming back, that full-on FOMO is coming back. And you can't even imagine what it would be like if Bitcoin becomes a mainstream asset. I mean, in my opinion, we're still pretty far from being mainstream. I also don't know if he really meant it that strongly or if he's even aware of what he just said. He says he's never been as bullish as he is right now. Everything is about Bitcoin. Everything is playing right into our hands. I mean, I can absolutely confirm that. And then he says, hey, displace Bitcoin, it's going mainstream. And the way I interpret it, mainstream basically means supercycle. And that would be absolutely massive, of course. So this whole supercycle thing also comes from the fact that there were actually people on X who commented, hey, is he confirming the supercycle here? And that's the big question now, whether he's even aware of what he just said. But even if it doesn't end up being a supercycle, whatever mainstream is supposed to mean here, it definitely means we're heading in the right direction. Whether mainstream means that everyone will eventually have Bitcoin, because mainstream would kind of mean something like a savings account, right? And then it would be hard for us not to end up in a supercycle. That would be the big theory. Okay, Bitcoin, so gradually, then suddenly, and at some point there will be a moment when a supercycle happens where maybe the usual Bitcoin cycles are broken, where maybe there are 2 consecutive halvings without a bear market or something like that. That might be what a supercycle is. Or maybe a supercycle is just a milder bear market. I don't know, I'm just taking a shot in the dark. Now, in any case, let's take a look at the White House. The White House is also totally freaking out here. Here, it's one superlative after another. And the thing is, it's not just some random people, but the biggest, most powerful, most influential people in the whole world who are here praising Bitcoin to the skies in every way possible, in every way you can imagine.
What we're looking at here is updating our archaic payment rails that have existed for quite some time. You look at, technology more generally, you look at the ways in which we communicate, how that's evolved. One thing that hasn't changed is the way in which we move money. And that's something that needs to be fixed. So we're looking at a system that will create much more expeditious transactions with instant settlement times. We're looking at a system that will provide a lot more transparency. And then we're looking at something that will secure US dollar global dominance for decades to come.
So he's saying that we simply need to optimize the payment systems. Can't be that everything else keeps advancing. Technology is moving forward. The only thing that's not progressing is the payment infrastructure. We're still stuck with very outdated technology here, and Bitcoin gives us this opportunity. Instant settlement. We can transfer billions worldwide at almost zero cost, without needing a third party or anything like that. And that's unique, and he also says you can use it to further strengthen the dollar's dominance, or not the dollar's dominance, actually, more like the US's weakness. I mean, the US's strength. What's wrong with me today? Slip of the tongue. You can continue to maintain US strength this way to uphold its hegemony. I think that's really the big plan here, that they've realized Bitcoin is also a tool to strengthen the US dollar, or to strengthen the US itself. And that's why there's now a stronger focus on Bitcoin here as well. And now comes the most exciting statement. Now listen very closely.
This is something that's not partisan. This is about revolutionizing our financial system, taking the technologies that come out of the digital asset space, plugging them into traditional systems, and creating an environment that welcomes innovation and establishes the US as not only the global Bitcoin superpower, but the crypto capital of the world.
So what we're talking about here is a revolution of the monetary system. There's always the question of whether it's a revolution, an evolution, or maybe both. In my opinion, it's mostly an evolution as well. In the past, we used things like salt. Well, not sand as money, but sand would obviously make for pretty bad money. Then we had gold, silver, shells, stones, and so on. And now, of course, Bitcoin. And then he simply says, you have to be innovative here. The US has to be the center of innovation. They want to become the Bitcoin superpower, but not just that, they want to be the crypto capital. And that's just crazy, especially when you consider that there are countries like Germany that are completely sleeping on this, acting like they're on a totally different planet. You can really see that, too, the cognitive dissonance in some places. In my opinion, countries that aren't open to this have absolutely messed something up. Something is really going wrong there. After all, Bitcoin is also a symbol of freedom, of open markets, of, more self-sovereignty. And countries or regions that are relying on CBDCs, in my opinion, are already, in a very real sense, clearly signaling to the outside world that they don't stand for true innovation, not for genuine progress, not for personal freedom, not for, the next step that simply and inevitably exists in our ongoing human existence, a step that is, in fact, essential for our continued development. So Bitcoin isn't just a tool to make money. It's also about reaching the next level of consciousness so that we stop bashing each other's heads in and maybe come together more as people. There's also an interesting video coming up with Christina Garth, who said that money is supposed to unite us, but fiat money definitely doesn't bring us together. Bitcoin unites us here because Bitcoin brings us together. While fiat money divides us, fiat money enslaves us. And it's always important to remember that we are all one, all part of the human family. Yeah, it's always better to live together peacefully, in freedom, to interact openly with each other, rather than tearing each other down. And that's why you should always remember, you are incredibly important beings, you are powerful beings, you are mighty creations. You really can't say that often enough. You don't often hear things like this in the mainstream, so I keep telling you, especially here at the end, take it to heart. You are powerful, you can achieve anything you set your mind to. Of course, you can't just fly or something like that right now. That might be a bit tricky. Although, who knows, maybe someone will figure out how it works. Let me put it this way. You can achieve way more than what the mainstream tries to make you believe. School tries to convince you that you can't make it, that you're not good enough, that you're just a servant or just some nobody or something like that. But that's not true. You can do so many amazing things, but you really have to believe in yourself. You really have to take your life into your own hands, and I just want to motivate you to do that. Bitcoin is a powerful tool here. But don't forget that there are other things in life that are important too. And yeah, that's really all I can say about that. So let me know what you think about it. I see the current situation here, and if you still want to buy Bitcoin, I'll put a link for you down in the comments. You can easily and securely buy Bitcoin at 21 Bitcoin. Definitely check it out. Also, use Bitcoin Hotel to save up to 20% on fees when buying Bitcoin. All right, folks, see you soon. Greetings from El Salvador. Peace out.